been hot for 25 minutes. Welcome back.
Hot enough?
Yep.
Welcome back, Wagoneers, to another exciting episode of the Wasted Wagons podcast. We have the original crew, plus Russell, here today, and we are all a little bit depressed based upon the end of the Saints game this morning.
Fuck that shit!
Fuck Dallas Goddard.
The Saints looked like they had a clear path to victory, with a little bit over a minute left in the game. They score a touchdown, and we think it's all looking good. Then all of a sudden, Dallas Goddard gets a 60-yard reception, brings it into the 5, and all of a sudden, we're losing and didn't have enough time to get it down the field and far through a pick. So we're all kind of sulking on that. Does anybody want to talk about that game a little bit, on what were some of the high points?
Yeah, Travis, I want to fucking talk about that game. That game fucking sucked.
It sounds like a grinds my gears segment.
It was a waste of fucking 3 hours, I swear to God. I had high hopes for the Saints, but obviously we weren't able to pull through. My biggest thing that I saw in the game was they kept on giving it to Alvin Kamara, and it was not working today. And it's like, come on, guys, let's try something different. Obviously he cannot make it happen today. They got a good run defense today. Let's do something else. And they just kept on going back and back and back to him. And I think that was the wrong move.
And as I was saying, like before Sean pulled up and we got here, Mike and Travis and I were kind of talking about this depressing loss in the parking lot. And I kind of noticed the offense fizzle out once Eric McCoy went out. They kind of drove down the field on that first drive. I don't want to necessarily say with ease, but they got down there and then we got field goal out of it. But when McCoy went out, I mean, it was clear that Patrick looked out of position playing center. Udo is the guy that filled in.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, it just seemed like all the pressure was kind of coming up the middle on Carr. So I'm wondering if they kind of changed the game plan and started running the ball a lot with Kamara once McCoy went out.
Well, it's that one injury because you have to shift other linemen around. It's like the one injury screws up like 3-4 positions. It's ridiculous.
And, I mean, Patrick looked completely out of position playing center. I don't know if anybody else seemed to notice that.
Did they say what was wrong with him? Like, what did he do?
Oh, McCoy, groin injury.
Yeah, groin injury, right.
When I saw him walking out, it's like he wasn't really limping, but he looked like he was kind of walking high, like he had a rod up his ass.
I saw so many plays, Todd, that like I could just envision Taysom running or just doing something Taysom-esque.
Taysomly.
And getting that extra yardage, and I think this game right here, it was evident that we really missed him being on the field in all his capacities.
We heard you the first time, Mike. You have an attraction to Taysom Hill.
He's a very good looking, handsome guy.
Such a pretty smile.
So obviously,
He's a handsome specimen, yeah.
the injuries that the Saints have is probably the biggest factor of why they lost this game, in a sense, at least in my opinion, starting with McCoy. Him out and that changing offensive line, and maybe the philosophy of what Kubiak wants to do, going with protection for Carr to give him time to throw, and then helping the running game. And we were just very inefficient. We were not really generating like consistent yardage both in the run and the pass game after he left. So my biggest thing is like I feel like this is a game that may not come back to haunt us down the road, but when we look at the end of season results, this is a game that got away from us that maybe could have put us in a better position for seeding if we make the playoffs.
Yeah. You know what
or
I
something
hate?
like that. Just because even with the Taysom not playing and McCoy going out and having to redo the offensive line, we still had a lot of chances to get up in this game and take the lead and maybe win.
Absolutely.
And then, especially with how poorly the Eagles were playing outside of Barkley, no one on their team had a great day. Devonta Smith was having a good game until he got concussed. But Goddard,
It's bound to happen. He's like 100 pounds, so.
Yeah, Goddard was kind of
Second coming of Jesus.
not carving us up, but they were consistently getting the ball. I think at one point he had 7 catches for like 80-something yards
Yeah.
before the last quarter.
He was doing his best Kelsey impression.
Yeah.
Sure.
Fucking tearing that shit
But I mean, that 60-yard reception came when Lattimore and Harris collided. So I mean, obviously, what amazed me though is even though those two collided, there was absolutely nobody on that left side of the field. where he was just able to kind of screen down the sideline and get 60 yards out of it.
Yeah, I think the safety was just on that side, just kind of watching to see for something maybe over the top from a receiver, and he just lost track of maybe looking in the backfield at Carr, lost track of Goddard running away because he's like, hey, where's the guy that's supposed to be with him? And he's focused on Carr and what Carr's trying to do, and he just kind of got away. I mean, Goddard's an athlete, so he's very capable of doing that. But yeah, the two defenders running into each other was the main problem with that play, and the safety not being there was just.
So on the other side of the,
Go.
on the other side of the ball of the line, where the fuck was Juwan Johnson? Like, did he even play? Like,
Juwan Johnson's been invisible all year.
Him and Moreau. I think it was the
crazy.
2-point play.
Well,
Moreau got like blown
Moreau
up.
do shit. I mean, but
On the 2-point conversion, I think Moreau was like knocked on his ass.
Todd's son keeps making comments about how he likes Foster Moreau, and I actually think Moreau has been better than Juwan Johnson, and the crappy part of that is Juwan Johnson got paid last year, and he really has been invisible all season. Like I just, every I even made a joke. I was like, this seems like a Juwan Johnson play, but of course it didn't go to Juwan Johnson because he was,
Was he even on the field today? I feel like I didn't even see him.
I did not see him. I don't know.
Kubiak scheming him and like trying to get plays for him, or just the coverage on him was better than.
He wasn't very good last year.
I mean,
without Kubiak.
No idea.
Yeah, can't really answer that one.
To me, honestly, it felt like the Philadelphia corners and secondary were just up to the task today. Like they played very well.
Yeah.
Because they have Garner Johnson and they have Darius Slade, who are Pro Bowlers. So,
Where did Slade play college ball?
you tell me.
The Mississippi State University.
We'll talk about Mississippi State later, though.
Oh, I have it on here. Don't worry.
Mississippi State Mud Dogs.
That was a gross game.
But
I think the Mud Dogs beat Mississippi State.
I think you bring up,
SCLSU.
I think you bring up a good point though, Pat, because I think they were feeling kind of embarrassed about the way last week ended when they allowed Kirk Cousins to drive right down the field. I mean, it was Cousins was picking up like 25-yard chunks at a time. It was just like 25 yards, 25 yards, 25 yards, and they got within inside the 10-yard line in like under a minute. It was crazy.
That was crazy.
So I think they wanted to.
Their line was pretty stout. Like I felt like our line couldn't block their tackles.
You could see all the talent that they drafted, like out of Georgia and other schools. Like
Jalen Carter.
They actually had a really good defense from a talent.
More than once,
standpoint.
not just Jalen Carter. It was whoever number 90 was. I was like, those are some big fucking dudes.
Jordan Davis.
I was like, those are some big ass dudes.
Georgia,
Like when they noticeably look bigger than everyone else out there, it's like, good lord.
And Nakobe Dean, though he has like mental lapses, is still a really good linebacker. They have a really good defense.
They said he beat out Devin White.
Yeah, they just last week they got carved up because 2-minute offense is the best or the favorite of any quarterback because your defense you can't disguise. You're in a base defense trying to play prevent almost, and so you get carved up like that. And they were probably tired, but with a week of rest, and I just think they are, from a talent standpoint, they're really really good. They've gotten carved up before, but they're just a really good unit at all three levels. They maybe don't play to that level all the time, but they can put it together. Now, the injuries and not having Taysom to help make some other schemes and get some other looks didn't help us. But, I mean, I wouldn't say they locked up Olave, but outside of the touchdown that Olave caught, he really didn't have much of a game today.
Shaheed was the
He didn't have a catch, did he? It's like
No.
it was all incompletion.
Those were very catchable.
And
Those
then
are
one
very
was maybe a
catchable balls.
little bit tougher.
That was not Carr. That was fucking Shaheed didn't catch that. So.
Yeah, one of those touchdowns Shaheed should have definitely had.
One of them, Darius Slade.
Well,
his
yeah.
greatness kind of knocked it away.
He had an arm in there. I mean, I give him that. But one of them.
Speaking of Darius Slade, did y'all see the stupid ass penalty that Trevor Penning committed on him?
It was so dumb.
Ridiculous.
I mean,
You know what I
just make
could?
a great play to kind of get us in scoring position. This asshole throws him to the ground.
And
A good fucking 10 seconds after the play's over.
And luckily, it ended up not
Out of
affecting
bounds.
us. We still ended up getting the touchdown anyway. But at the same point, you're looking at it like, hey, this is a key drive. and you're going to make a bonehead penalty when the guy's clearly out of bounds, and you're going to throw him against the bench. I mean, it was just
I
ridiculous.
couldn't help but think of our, friend that I won't name that was likes Trevor Penning's nasty play or whatever lately. It's like, well, you can't be an idiot too.
Well,
It's like I get he's playing tough, he's trying to make a name for himself, but yeah.
I really think he's living up to that reputation of being the next Kyle Turley, just minus the talent.
I don't think there's a lot of gray matter
Talent
on
was
his
Turley.
head.
No, well, I think it was the first quarter, and it was a run that Kamara had that he got stopped after me like a yard or two. Penning goes to make the block, whiffs on the block that he's supposed to have, falls to the ground, and then the defensive player comes up and like immediately smacks Kamara for like maybe a 1-2 yard gain. But like Penning just absolutely whiffed on the dude right in front of him and fell to the ground. It's like it's not good enough. He's not good enough right now, and it's starting to feel like he's not ever going to be good enough for the offense or a talented team that has aspirations to be an anchor on the right side for that team.
Because there was another play. I think it was a screen or something when Kamara was going around and Penning got blown up again and it messed up the play because he had to run around Penning's ass, who was 2 yards in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're going on year 3 now, and we keep saying maybe this is the year, but he's still making bonehead plays, still not blocking the way he's supposed to. I think it's one of those. Is he ever going to develop?
Nope.
So moving on to like next week, we play the Falcons. What are our thoughts on that game? We're playing the Falcons in Atlanta. If you remember a couple weeks back when we did our predictions, all of us had the Saints losing to Dallas.
Correct.
And I think most of us had us losing to Philly, if not all of us had us losing.
I think Sean might have had us beating Philly because he said it was going to be that fluke game where they actually kind of play.
Yeah.
I think most of us picked. Russell said that the Saints would beat Atlanta in Atlanta.
Yes.
What are we thinking now? I mean, after we saw the Saints' high-powered offense the first 2 weeks, and then kind of lay an egg this week. What are our thoughts, man? I mean, I don't know.
I think the Falcons got lucky in that last game, and I think we could beat them easily. They should have lost to the Eagles.
I do not think there's going to be a blowout game this whole season. Like I'm not talking about the Saints blowing out somebody else. I'm saying nobody's going to beat the piss out of us. Our defense is top notch, man. It really is. They held them back
I don't think
all day today.
I don't think Atlanta's defense is anything compared to Philly's. So I mean,
Oh, no.
So I mean, I think we should just put up points again, like we were doing the first 2 weeks.
I keep hearing about how good Atlanta's corners are, but if you look at their 2 weeks that they've already played, they really haven't stopped anybody. I mean, they should have really lost last week to the Eagles. They just got that last minute drive where the Eagles decided to play prevent defense and choke it away. So I'm kind of flipping my pick on this one. I think the Saints can go into Atlanta and win. Again, it could be the optimistic Saints fan. It could be as good as they looked the past 2 weeks, other than today. But I'm gonna flip my pick. I think the Saints can beat Atlanta.
Do we know if Taysom Hill's projected to be back?
So I'm gonna put a caveat with mine. If our center is ready to go and maybe Taysom, or maybe not so much Taysom, but if we have the original five starting, McCoy, if we have the original 5 offensive linemen, I think we win this game because we should hopefully have the protection that we need, because Atlanta's defense does not even come close to what Philly can do pressure-wise or on the back end. They're a solid unit, but they're not what Philadelphia can be.
Yeah,
It's pretty sad that game 3 now we're talking about same talk we had the previous years. Our offense is absolute fucking garbage.
Well, I think this is more
when it comes to like real defenses out there in the NFL.
but
Dallas, I mean, that was a.
I think.
Shit.
Dallas is
I take it back. I take it
I
back.
think the difference is last year we were worried about the play calling and just the overall schematics of the offense. This is really we have injuries we're trying to deal with right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I guess.
Like take Jason Kelsey off of the Eagles and what did they look like for 3 games? This will be, if we can do what we did even half as well against Dallas, we should do it. Because let's be honest, Falcons should have lost that game had Saquon Barkley caught that ball. That game is over if he catches that ball and even just gets the first down or falls short or whatever. I have no issue with the play call that they made. He just didn't execute the play. They should have lost that game. So the Falcons would not have even been in that position. Now, granted, they made it a closer game at the end to get to that point to make all that happen. But that was kind of maybe the Eagles kind of pulling back a little bit and like getting a little conservative, which is their own other issue.
But I do agree with y'all. McCoy plays a huge part. I think that's when you really started seeing those tackles run through. Once McCoy left the game, you start seeing Carter and Davis are all all up par. And like I don't Mike made the comment that their offense is shit, but Carr, I'm still not going to be down on him. I think he was under a lot of pressure today. I think if he gets some better protection, he'll be making throws like he was the previous 2 weeks.
Yeah, I honestly think the line was just that their defense played good. I mean, Philly's deep came to play today, and then our line was with injuries and just underplaying, that to their potential. I think is what was a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully some better stuff's coming for the Saints again to get back at the winning ways next week against the rivalry of Atlanta. But while we're on the topic of sports, Todd's got some stuff that he would like to mention, about his current
I think it's
teams.
a perfect segue though because
Oh, dogs.
I'll talk about them in a minute, but you were just talking about the injuries to our offensive line and how critical it is. I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of the guys at the table don't really pay much attention to baseball, but I'm an Orioles fan. Orioles were the top team in the American League, definitely in the American League East for the first half of the season. And now all of a sudden they're basically grasping at straws to try and just make the playoffs. They need to win 2 more games to clinch a playoff spot. And I'm not confident that can even happen. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that their pitching rotation is extremely depleted. 3 out of 5 of their starters from the start of the season are gone. Maybe Grayson Rodriguez is coming back. I haven't heard anything about him coming back, but
Not yet.
But John Means and Kyle Bradish, 2 of their top pitchers, are on IR and done for the year. And when the bats just aren't producing and your pitchers kind of blow, it's just very hard for them to win games right now. And I'm not even optimistic if they do make the playoffs that they're going to do anything. They probably play a team in the wild card, and like right now you got a couple of hot teams. Like are the Royals projected to make the playoffs, or
They're fighting for a spot.
is that one of the hottest teams in baseball right now?
Yeah, so they're one of the teams competing for a wild card. But since you mentioned the Royals, I will give my shout out to the Cleveland Guardians. So if y'all are looking for a bandwagon team to jump on, the Cleveland Guardians.
As much shit as Travis is talking about the Orioles and saying they're garbage and all that, I'm not jumping on that bandwagon. I hope the Orioles make the playoffs and somehow will end up playing the Guardians and beat them.
I mean, I guess if Todd's Orioles don't make it, then I will in some way pull for your Guardians to do well because I don't like the rest of the American League, but I'm not gonna be on a bandwagon for you. Sorry.
Y'all are all welcome to jump on. They clinched the division yesterday. We'll clinch a playoff berth about 3 days ago. We the Cardinals.
So sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah. But well, actually, the Cardinals beat us yesterday.
What's the Cardinals' record?
I think we're like a game over 500 right now.
They're not
we
not complete bottom of the barrel, or
not the worst, but
They're
pretty close.
They're about 500.
Now, if there's one thing that's kind of playing in the Orioles' favor right now, they have a bunch of guys that are returning from being injured, and that's Jordan Westberg, who's an absolute stud. Ramon Urias, whose bat was really hot after All-Star break, but has a great glove. And Danny Coulomb, also one of the best relievers, just came off the IL as well. I'm hoping Grayson Rodriguez returns for playoffs because they need starting pitching help bad. Heston Kjerstad also came back too, and he played like shit today, but he did really well yesterday. Now, if you want to talk about the rest of my woes in sports, I mean, Mississippi State looks like the equivalent of a fucking high school team right now. So I mean,
popcorn.
what happened to Mississippi State?
I mean, let me start with the season opener because I mean, obviously, I was high. I liked the hiring of Jeff Levy because
Not to cut you off, I don't care about that. I only want to talk about the recent stuff that happened like yesterday.
they lost to Florida.
To who?
Patrick's Florida Gators.
You lost to a 1-2 Florida team?
I mean, as I've said, Mississippi State sucks.
By how many points? Like
Patrick,
we'll score like
Patrick,
48
this
to
doesn't surprise me that they lost to Toledo the week before. Like, they didn't lose to Toledo. They got their asses kicked.
Was it a home game?
Jesus.
Yeah, I swapped them
Against
obviously
Toledo.
this week.
No, I think it
That
was
was,
actually in
that was
Toledo.
on like the last 10
Last-
I
minutes.
know.
Yesterday was
We
a home
didn't
game?
see that coming.
Yes.
You
Nobody
lost
saw
at
that
home to Florida.
Yes, we lost at home to Florida.
You lost to Graham Mertz at home.
I think Graham Mertz is better than Blake Shapen.
You lost
yes.
in Stark Vegas.
And Billy Napier outcoached this Levy guy.
So when Mississippi State hired Jeff Levy, he was the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma, and you know Oklahoma is known to put up some numbers, right? You know, I was high on the sign, and I was like, all right. Arnett couldn't really get the offense rolling. He's a great defensive coach, but couldn't really get any production on offense, even with Will Rogers as your quarterback, who Mike Leach had playing out of his mind. And we pulled in Blake Shapen from Baylor, who had a solid career at Baylor. So it's like I thought it was a good move on both parts to get Levy, to get Shapen. I felt like Mississippi State was trending in the right direction.
Keep going.
But then you watch these games, Shapen absolutely destroys Eastern Kentucky, right? Like
This is Kentucky, yeah,
they're equivalent to a high school team.
pretty much.
But still, yes, thank you.
Russell just jizzed on me over here.
So Shapen absolutely destroys them, and I'm watching this game and like I like what I see. You know, I really like what I see with Blake Shapen. I'm
What's your
impressed.
love gun?
Then next week, they struggled the first half to put up points against Arizona State. I mean, it was 28-3 at halftime. Defense couldn't stop them. Offense couldn't score. They finally start to make a resurgence in the second half. It was just too little, too late. Then Toledo they go to Toledo and absolutely get manhandled.
Keep going.
Go on.
Then yesterday, they played Florida, and they kind of kept it close for the first quarter, but then Florida just started to kind of pull away. And
I believe.
Blake Shapen looked like absolute shit.
I think they'll give up like 21 points in the second quarter.
As I said, their defense is non-existent. They can't tackle. It looked like Pee-wee tackling. Looked like the little Giants.
Pee-wees.
Looked like the little Giants tackling.
To allow Florida to have that kind of offensive day, that says a lot about your program. When
It's not good. It's
Florida-
not good.
Florida's only win to date before beating Mississippi State was against Samson. They got drugged by Miami, which that's expected. Miami's actually a really good team.
Miami's good, yeah.
A&M, I don't know what to make of them, but they got drugged by A&M by about 20, by about 10 or 15 that they lost by. And honestly, I'm not going to sit here and drink all of your tears because my tears are coming because we play, I think, UCF next, which we might win that game, maybe. But then we've got Tennessee, Kentucky, and then we also have Georgia, LSU, and two other really, really tough games on our schedule. So
I'm looking at the rest of Mississippi State's schedule, and I don't think they're going to win another game all season.
So we also play Ole Miss. We're not going to win that game.
Because you got Texas next week. That's going to be an ass raping. You have Georgia the following week, ass raping.
Mm-hmm.
Texas A&M, ass raping.
Keep on so close.
Prison rape.
Oh, wait, are you saying they're gonna get diddied?
No, wait, we got UMass on November 2nd. We'll probably win that one.
Should.
Good segue.
No, they won't get Diddy because like Diddy used the lube.
But then
That's
Tennessee,
true.
Maybe it will.
Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss, those are all losses. Like, yeah, so we might finish the season with 2 wins.
I won't be that hard hitting.
I'm going to say might, because UMass might actually beat us still.
We might get 3. We might be UCF, but the rest of our schedule, like I said, is Kentucky, it's Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Florida State. I don't know what Florida State's going to look like by the end of the year, but I'm still not confident in that game. All Florida did by winning yesterday was maybe extend the Billy Napier firing out a little bit more. Because the money's there, the board's ready to do it. They're just waiting for the final reason. Had we lost to Mississippi State yesterday, they would have fired him right after the game because they have a bye week and then they go to UCF.
Well, I could sit here and say, let's give Jeff Levy some more time because he's it's his first year. He's probably got to settle himself. But with the way the transfer portal is, these dudes who are sitting here losing these games are going to be like, fuck this, we're getting out. So, I mean, there's probably not even going to be any way for him to build up
Him.
any kind of
Or
consistency
him.
with this team as it is. So I think he's fucking screwed.
That's the one that started him.
But that's just me. Unless
So.
unless the players are really want to rally behind the guy, which I don't see happening,
They win.
and maybe he'll be able to keep some of these guys and form a consistent team.
About
But
that.
I just don't see it
And
happening.
then that's what I've been.
The transfer portal is kind of slowly ruining college football.
At what point in the game
College
did you
sports
turn the
in
game
general.
off?
It was before halftime.
Are you proud of me that I didn't text you about this?
I mean, we did kind of have a conversation as a group about it, but yeah, you didn't text me on the side, so
Okay.
so thank you for that.
You're welcome. I was dealing with my own situations, but yes, I knew you were going through it, and again, it's not like my team is anything worth a damn either, so I didn't really want to talk shit because my next game I'm gonna get my shit packed in. So
Did you say you were going
Nope.
through your own situations?
Russell, this is getting fucking nixed anyway, but I've been waiting for you all day to say something.
I wouldn't have said anything unless you just never mind. I'm just
Anyway.
going to continue not to say
Is this
anything.
about
Don't worry.
Is this about the Maulers and the Niners?
No,
No.
don't worry, it's getting fucking. But anyway, so go ahead. That
Well, I mean, to close out, to needless to say, and if the Orioles don't make the playoffs, I'm gonna be upset because Mississippi State sucks. I need the Saints to win. I need it because although the Sharks have a very, very promising young group of talent, when Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, and Quentin Musty, I just don't see them being anything spectacular next season. I think they need another year to cook before they kind of jump to being a prominent team.
y'all are still marinating. Like
Yeah.
the meat is marinating. Not ready to go into the oven and make a full dish yet, but we're
Yeah.
close.
I mean,
You've at least you bought the ingredients.
I think you're going to see an improvement this year from last year. Whether they're going to be a playoff caliber team, I don't see that happening. But give them a little bit of time.
You're at least trying to hopefully establish the foundation to build a good team around
Yeah.
some really good players. So
Absolutely.
yes, it will take you some time. I mean, Colorado went through a lull as well until McKinnon came around, and then took over McCarr and something like that. So it took a little while after some down years
Yeah.
in our golden age per se.
So kind of in this sports conversation, Saints, I really need you to do something, or else every team that I support.
How are we feeling
It's gonna be
overall now that we've seen this game 3? You know, and obviously we didn't perform very well today, or maybe not horrible,
I'm
but not up to
hoping-
the standard that we wanted.
I'm hoping this isn't a repeat of last year where, remember game 3 was the one we blew against the Packers and it like completely changed the trajectory of the season. And then it had playoff implications, just like losing to an NFC team here. Hopefully will not screw us in the playoffs at the end.
I don't personally feel like this is going to put us on a path to kind of follow through.
I do feel the team's a little different this year, but yeah.
C.J. Gardner Johnson accuses the Saints of playing dirty.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Cheap shots.
Meanwhile, he
Takes one to
basically
know one, right?
Cheap
meanwhile, he
shots.
drug Alvin Kamara out on the sideline, threw him down for a late hit out of bounds by his
I
head.
think Gardner Johnson has become one of those guys that you like him on your own team and then you hate him on another team. But no, I'm still confident on the Saints, Russell. I think we're going to bounce right back next week against Atlanta. We'll see how Atlanta plays tonight against Kansas City, but I'm not out on them.
I'm usually way too optimistic.
Is that in
but I
Kansas
also,
City or is it at the Falcons?
It's in Falcon. It's at Atlanta.
Okay.
So I would say if we kind of return to what we've done the first 2 games of the season against Atlanta and we win that game, then I'll feel fine because we know we have the Bucks and Kansas City after that. Those are gonna be tough games regardless.
What happened to all the creative plays that we did the first 2 games, man? They're so creative. Clint
think you have it.
Kubiak. Dude, I wanted to suck that man's fucking nuts. What? At one point.
Clip that.
I thought he was the best thing to slice fucking bread. You know what I mean? And then now, I don't know. It was one dimensional. It was one fucking dimensional.
You wanted to
It
suck
was-
Clint's cubes?
Yeah.
It's
Look, not
spelled with a
just
K.
me. Everybody in
Clint
fucking
Cubes.
New Orleans.
Clint Cubes.
Everybody in New Orleans.
Cubes.
I mean,
creative KK. What? Oh,
Great.
Let's get as much alliteration in here as
yo.
I didn't think about that.
Wait. I said it's okay though. You can't say it.
everybody
It's
in
Gary
New
Kubiak
Orleans,
that likes the K's, you know. Clay
Every-
Kubiak. Oh, that's 3 K's.
everybody in New Orleans thought the same thing as what I just said, and then today is just one dimensional. It was very one dimensional. I mean, look, but the Eagles D, like we've been saying, they came out to play,
Yeah.
but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's kind of very disappointing.
Mike, I think it's one. It starts with the offensive line injury. That's not an excuse, but I think that's a big factor.
I don't know.
2, you're playing against a really
I know.
good defense
Yeah,
at
we
all
did.
3 levels. So
We did.
they're way better than Dallas defensively.
It
From a schematic standpoint and a talent standpoint, they're better than Dallas.
It
So-
just
I didn't knock on
burned
this.
my
Look what ESPN
balls
put
just
for
seeing them
Sandy
lose
Dalton.
today.
especially
Like,
for a
it
game
really
that the Eagles' offense didn't play well, and we were winning the game, and even if we weren't like scoring or making long drives to look that great, we weren't letting up much. It's just
What about that last 4-and-1 play that we went for it instead of fucking kicking the 3 points? You think that would have made a
a
difference?
lot of analysts will tell you, like with the analysts or whatever, you take the points and you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And some coaches live by it, some die by that. Hey,
What did you just ask?
Yeah, well, at the 4-and-1 play.
Okay,
where-
so I wanted to bring that up earlier.
Yeah.
Like, so it's twice that game that they did that. How do y'all feel about that? Because I
I
don't know.
think
a ton compared
I
to
would
y'all.
have went for 3 points.
It
but
looks pretty dumb on my behalf.
I would have went for 3 points.
Any low scoring game where you don't take points just seems like a bad move, you know.
Yeah.
You
see
haven't
the one on a
done.
quarterback,
You haven't
it-
done shit all game,
Even in the moment,
and
it
you're gonna
seems
go for it.
stupid.
Fuck that, man.
Yeah.
Just fucking take the points.
My grandfather used to always say when we go for it on 4th down, instead of just taking the points, oh, you gotta take the frazzling points. So why don't they just take the frazzling points?
I agree. I probably would have gone for taking the points. But go back to
What did they do? They gave it to fucking Kamara that wasn't doing fucking shit the whole game.
Now in Kamara's defense, though, they showed the ball from the side angle. It looked like that the tip of the ball was over.
Oh,
the
yeah.
first
It
down
did, it
marker.
did look like it.
Totally
Why
thought that
didn't
was a
the
first
sound
down.
challenge that? I don't know.
I thought it was supposed to be automatically challenged because it's
Yeah,
a
it
turnover
should-
on down.
should've,
So it's
like-
like they didn't review it in New York and
Maybe
whatever.
it's just the NFL fucking Saints, Mike.
go
Must
go,
be.
go back
Must
to
be.
what Philly last week, the 3rd down play. They about to say, hey, run the ball twice and run the clock out. They had the right play executed. Saquon dropped the pass. They end up kicking the field goal, but that level of aggression, when it works out, you're the genius. When
I
it
know,
doesn't work,
I know.
you're an
Yeah, I know.
idiot. So
I know.
it could have gone in with that. Going for no 4th and 1, maybe set them up for a touchdown or something like that, maybe. And that could have maybe changed the outcome of how Philadelphia played the rest of the game or whatever. It's
I get it, Pat, but that whole game, like, okay, if you were to tell me we're gonna go for it on 4-and-1, and we're gonna do like some kind of screen pass, or we're gonna do something different, I'd say, okay, let's do it, let's try it.
I agree.
But you're gonna give the ball back to Kamara that hasn't done nothing.
Right.
Come on,
I
man.
agree.
Come on.
You know what's interesting? Like saying it's tough being a fan because I even noticed on the play where they ran into each other, everybody hates the prevent defense. It was like, oh, why they play only a 3-down lineman? They need to pressure the quarterback. That was actually one where they were pressuring them, and the reason they ran into each other, they playing man coverage, and they basically got picked each other. And it's like if they were in prevent, Dallas Goedert wouldn't have run for 60 yards. But so it's like look at it both ways. It's like we can't figure out what we want. It's like we hate prevent, but then see what the other result is.
You got to pick your poison. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for you, honestly.
I know. It's just crazy how it's like just thinking about that because if they were in prevent, everybody was like, why are they playing so far
Right,
back?
but, I mean, we could say that about maybe any play, any team, any result.
All right, I won't say anything.
No, go ahead. What, Russ?
No, before we transition to the next topic, this is I don't know if I've been on the pod since we started fantasy, right?
Yeah.
So now that we're 3 weeks into my first fantasy league ever, watching today's game is fucking awful.
All right, we have the duo
I have
right here.
Hurts and fucking Goddard on my team playing up against the Saints, and
know.
like I was so conflicted today.
But what did I tell my 6-year-old today? My 7-year-old, sorry, 7. Yeah, 7. What did I tell him?
We'll redact it.
It doesn't matter who the fuck is on my fantasy team. Saints have got to win.
And that's where I fell with how I felt.
Y'all had Goddard in.
Got it? Yeah, we did.
Nice.
Y'all
Got
at Kamara too, so like the same kind of thing. Like when we're
And
playing,
Hurts.
we're playing against y'all. So like the whole time, we're sitting there like, hoping Kamara does well, but hoping the touchdowns go somewhere else.
Sure.
But at the same time, if
feeling.
Kamara scores a touchdown and it gives the Saints a better chance to win, you're obviously pulling
At the end of the day, I don't care about fantasy. I care about my Saints. And it was just disappointing. I was very disappointed.
A little kick to him.
Before we fully move on from football, though, I want to talk about the other team in Louisiana here. Y'all have, we got plenty of teams in Louisiana, but the big one, obviously, would be the
Tigers.
LSU Fighting Tigers. We have a couple of resident LSU fans at the table. I need to get y'all's opinion on that before we move
Does the
forward.
transfer portal work for coaches too? Oh my God! Wait, hold on.
Yeah, we have a camera rolling, just saying.
So yeah, Brian Kelly.
I need y'all's opinions on the LSU. So look, this is my, Todd and I are obviously LSU haters. We haven't really hid that over the last couple of years. But I will say that a part of me likes to see Garrett Nussmeier do good. The reason on that is I feel like I always appreciate the quarterbacks who kind of wait their turn. And I know Nussmeier was one of those guys who kind of sat for the last couple of years, waited his turn. So there's a part of me, as much as I don't necessarily like to see LSU win, there's a part of me that wants to see Nussmeier do well.
Yeah, 5th-year starter. I mean, like 5 years, and he did not transfer. It's amazing to see. It's a rare thing nowadays.
Nussmeier did good. I think he did well. It's just the coaching.
Well, it's coaching, and the defense has a hard time stopping anybody. And that's really been LSU's problem.
The D was non-existent, really.
Because historically, LSU was known to have a really good defense. So,
They've been touting the defense the last
part of the Kelly regime.
since Brian Kelly got there. Oh, the defense. I was like, what defense?
Yeah, I don't have a defense. So anyway, but yeah, I don't know if any of I know Mike, you're an LSU fan. I think Sean, you're somewhat of an LSU fan as well. I don't know.
I barely saw the game yesterday, but
I mean, I've been watching it more and more, especially the
Depends
last
on which
couple of
game.
years because of the kids and stuff. But I'm not a full-blown LSU fan by any means. But just the things that I've seen, it's like, I don't know, just we could do better with the talent that we have on the team. Again, like you said, the D was non-existent. I guess that's college football in general, really. I mean, I don't know.
So LSU is now 3-1, and they beat Nichols, escaped the victory with a victory yesterday against UCLA. But they did lose week 1. Would you say they got diddied?
I think they got diddy. I think there was a lot of baby oil lube and 70 dildos found in a box in the coach's fucking stash. I mean, I don't know.
You're really reaching far for this joke.
So roll with that. Roll with this topic, Mike. Obviously, since our last pod, there's been some big news, breaking about P Diddy's freak off parties. What's your opinions on this?
One, I'm a little jelly. I wish I could be in one of those parties.
Would you had the money to have a freak off party?
Speaking of jelly of P Diddy, does anybody want to taste of my love gun?
Hey. I've tasted your love gun, Russell. It's pretty good.
But I think Cat.
That's the title right there.
I think everything that Cat Williams had predicted or had said earlier this year has come to fruition. You're going to see a bunch of shit that is happening in Hollywood behind the scenes that you had no idea was happening, and I think it's fucked up. I think it's crazy. Did he fucking kill Tupac? I mean, I just fucking know it.
Wait, allegedly.
No.
No.
In this podcast, he fucking did
For the
it.
sake of suing, allegedly. I'm gonna save you from us. I'm gonna save us from you. Allegedly. I might agree with you, but allegedly happened.
Okay, allegedly it happened, but I really think it did. But I don't know.
Is anybody else kind of anticipating the list of celebrities that are on?
I
this
cannot
list?
wait.
Innocent
I
until
cannot
proven
wait.
guilty.
I'm kind of curious to see who else is on this. I mean, obviously.
How many people? 15 they said?
I mean, the ones I've seen so far will be like Usher, Pink,
Beyonce and Jay-Z.
and of course I think Justin Bieber was one of the kids that was
That's crazy.
associated with the parties.
They had a video with French Montana with his shirt off in one of the parties,
Okay.
like getting diddied.
Getting Montana.
Getting Montana. Allegedly.
Thank you.
Is it allegedly? Is
Allegedly.
it Will Smith on the list too?
Probably. Jada Pinkett.
G.I. Jane.
G.I. Jane. Yeah, no, I mean that's it's crazy stuff. But you're gonna start seeing things come out that, you know, just like the R. Kelly thing, just like, you know, Epstein thing. You know, what's happening in Hollywood? Well, this is the kind of shit that's really happening.
Did Epstein attend the Diddy party?
The Obamas, allegedly. Yeah, no, I mean it's just crazy. It's you know, Aaliyah. Now it's question. You know, I'm questioning. I was talking to Jamie about it. I was like, you know, you think Aaliyah got killed by these people? I mean, it was a plane crash. I don't know, but she's like, with enough money, you could do anything.
Well, everything's
You
a
know?
plane
Was that
crash.
complete speculation, or was something actually said or referenced to her?
No, complete speculation because she very involved. J-Lo was very involved, even though, you know, it was back in the '90s. But you know, you get somebody
Ben Affleck
that was a
had to-
nobody and then ends up being a superstar. You know, you start questioning things. You know, I don't know.
Aaliyah's death was related to a plane crash that had.
No, I'm aware of what happened.
Yeah, it's a
I just
plane
didn't know if
crash.
something
But
was said or referenced.
If anyone would know, it'd be me because that was my future ex-wife. So
Aaliyah
I would have
was-
to beat.
Aaliyah was hot.
Patrick's still not over Aaliyah's death.
Never will be.
Still tear up here in the baby garage.
Well, does anybody else want to add anything on Diddy Island before we move on?
What, I mean, what do you think, Travis?
I'm with Todd here. I'm kind of excited to see who's on this list. Excited, and I want to know what
Maybe the wrong choice of word.
and I
Yeah, I'm
want
not
to
excited is the right word. It's but I'm anticipating.
Anticipate,
seeing
yeah.
who's on this list.
and I want to see what
It's piquing my curiosity.
Curiosity
I
is
want to see
piqued.
what are the repercussions of it. Like what are the penalties of who's on this list? Like, what's gonna
Hashtag
happen?
color me curious.
Who do you think would be on this list that hasn't been talked about right now? That has the potential of being on this list.
Oh, man, I
Ben
gotta-
Affleck.
I got to think
That's what
about,
broke up him and J-Lo.
you know, thinking back of the names
Supposedly.
the names
Allegedly.
the names I've already seen on the list would be, you know, like Todd said, Justin Bieber, Rick Ross, Beyonce.
What do
and
you
Jay-Z,
think happened to
Usher.
Justin Bieber?
I think.
Do you
Justin,
think he got like, you
I
know?
think Justin Bieber got the worst of it.
based upon the things that were found, I would say they probably baby oiled up some phallic shaped things,
Some cucumbers.
and were probably
Some
shoved in his rectal cavity.
Some Kubiaks.
Pretty sad shit.
But who knows? I guess that'll all come out. But no, if I had to guess one person who would be on there, like I said, I know we heard about Bieber, we heard about Rick Ross, I've heard about Jay-Z and Beyonce. Rick Ross, I said Rick Ross already. Todd said Usher.
Yeah, Pink,
Usher's definitely.
Pink and Usher have already kind of cleared their Twitter accounts of everything. So they're trying to get rid of any kind of evidence.
I
They're
didn't
making
hear, but I
themselves
didn't hear
look
too much
very-
about Pink. What was the deal with her?
That both her and Usher cleared their Twitter accounts. So everything they've erased, every post they've ever made.
I didn't even know they were like.
I mean, it kind of makes themselves look suspicious to begin with. But
Yeah.
Well, are they speculating that they were like
Involved, like.
involved in terms of
Right.
like something happened to them, or were they?
I'm thinking they were ones that were involved
Assisting-
in doing stuff to other people.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And or even just
Oh,
attending it and not reporting it. Like I think it's
Mary J.
Yeah.
Blige.
Yeah, kind of like
Oh, shit,
a
she
Joe
got
Paterno
named?
type thing.
Yeah,
where
she
they
got
just kinda
named-
swept it under the rug.
They
you know?
said that she would fly like minors to New York and stuff, and like, you know, I don't know, allegedly.
Yeah, I guess from being a counselor, a part of my title is mandated reporter. So if you hear something that you know of that's going on illegal you're supposed to report it to authorities.
Are
And
you going to call the FBI after this podcast?
so,
If you hear something, say something.
so I would wonder if a lot of the people on this list may have just been participants at these parties, witnessing what's going on, not really partaking, but being guilty by association for being there and seeing what's going
Witnessing
on.
some diddling. Diddy watchers.
Yeah, those parties, the freak-offs, man, supposedly they were hot and heavy. There were parties after parties and parties after the after parties. And
That's what I'm going to call them, Diddy watchers.
Diddy watchers. R. Kelly. Give me that. Toot, toot.
Or R. Kelly.
I think his name has already been brought up too, as far as being there, but that shouldn't surprise anybody.
Any freak party, yeah, I'm sure he
No
was
one's
there.
surprised.
I mean, wasn't he arrested for peeing on somebody? I mean,
Well, a minor.
yeah. So
Like a 17-year-old.
If what the reports say are true, you know.
Do you think he's the one that actually started Diddy off in those ways, or you think it was Klein? What's his name? Klein Davis?
Oh, Clive Davis.
Clive Davis.
Yeah, the producer.
Or was it Clive Davis?
Calvin
Klein Davis.
I don't know.
Tom Levine? What?
Levine.
Calvin Klein Davis.
I had a brain fart. Clive.
Levine Davis?
Levine Davis.
That's my man right there.
But yeah, I'm waiting to see the extent of this.
While on the topic of disastrous events, I mean, we just had Hurricane Francine pass through the New Orleans area. How did everybody make out with the storm?
It was a shit show.
We got hit with the eye wall. You know,
That was a
It
shit
an
show.
odd storm for me because I usually work these events, being like an emergency responder working for the local gas utility.
okay.
How about that? I didn't think twice about this storm. I was just sitting in my house, like just doing my thing. I was playing on my computer. All of a sudden, I get a text from a neighbor. Hey, you should go check your car. And I had about, I don't know, maybe half an inch away from the water hitting the bottom seal of my door.
Yep.
And I mean, I had a good maybe 4 feet of driveway. I could pull my car up for a little bit further, get a little bit more height on it, and I did. But that was a wild experience. Didn't really think I would flood being in the home that I'm in now.
So, I think that there was big failures in government when it came to the storm. I think we're just as bad, and when I say we, I mean Jefferson Parish is just as bad as New Orleans with their sewage and water board.
It was for sure bad. I
And-
don't know if I could ever say it was just as bad.
The sketchiness
Fuck that
with
guy.
all the pumps down and not reporting it, not fixing it, not and then lying about it. I think after the fact.
Egregiously bad.
Like I mentioned earlier, what the fuck does the airport have anything to do with running pumps in Kenner?
They use jet engines.
It's really egregious, the mishandling of that. And me personally, I didn't get any damage. I didn't get any water at my house, even though some of my neighbors did. My mom got 3 to 4 inches of water in her house. We're currently
shit.
gutting it.
I didn't know that.
And
Sorry to hear
it's
that, Mike.
yeah, no, I mean it's
Where's she live at?
right there by Williams and Betts area.
Oh, still over there, like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind
okay.
of close to Esplanade Mall. Right?
Yeah, close to
Yes,
Esplanade
I
Mall.
remember that.
And you start adding the pieces to the puzzle, and it's like the storm was a bad storm, but I think it was totally preventable for the flooding that happened after the fact.
Yeah, my parents' street flooded all the way up the driveway, and I've never seen flooding like that in my whole
Almost.
life. My
I mean-
parents moved in that house at 1 year old, and that street never floods.
I haven't seen flooding like that within the same neighborhood that I grew up in, with where my parents are located right now. I want to say it was the May '89 flood. Was
Yeah,
the last time.
the May 8th flood. Yeah,
May 8th flood in '95.
yeah, the thing was
Oh,
95.
no, I
95,
thought that was
yeah.
something that happened in '89.
That was something else.
That was another.
So
The
maybe it
95 was the
wasn't
last.
May. It was something that happened. I might be thinking of something else.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like just kind of reminiscent of Katrina and how the pumps weren't running and all that shit that happened from that. And I don't know, man. We live in a place that, you know, it's susceptible to flooding. Everybody knows it's going to flood. We live in a swampland. But goddamn, Patrick, that stinks, dude.
Me?
Speaking of swampland, someone let the frogs.
Somebody fucking ripped ass here, and it's disgusting.
Not someone. These two jackals to the side of me did this.
These fucking jackals.
The jackasses in yellow shirts.
Yeah.
Jackals.
It's like a tag team match.
The yellow jackets.
They are
over here.
both wearing like soccer style yellow shirts today too. It's kind of weird.
Call y'all the yellow jackets.
That's a great call it the yellow jackets.
yellow
Write that down too. Well, fuck you for blaming me for that.
Sorry. I saw you over there. You look mischievous, okay? I mean, I don't know.
Is it because I'm black?
Mike with the vocabulary tonight. He was like
You're
saying.
supposed to be my fucking comrade.
Hey,
I am your comrade, but you're looking suspicious.
don't be
I mean, I guess that's because I'm black.
No, it's just,
Mike's throwing out egregious and mischievous.
You're making faces, man.
I'm making faces because these two assholes are having dueling farts over here.
Fair
Literally,
enough.
they're
Fair enough. Fair
I'm
enough.
not calling them assholes because of their activity. They're assholes
Because
are
they're
having
ripping ass.
Dueling
Wasn't it a
battles right
wasn't
now.
it a Family Guy?
Asshole said.
Did they have that on Family Guy where they
That's
were
what
doing
assholes
the
say.
dueling farts or whatever it was?
Yeah. I'm just getting fucking each nostril just pounded by these two assholes in yellow.
They're catcalling each other like farting
Duel
away.
of fates. It's duel of farts over here.
Yeah.
Man.
Let me go fucking load
That's
up
the
one.
title. Each nostril's getting pounded by these two assholes in yellow.
Write that down.
Sounds like Minions or something.
I haven't even gotten a word in because I've been listening to these two buttholes, literally and figuratively, just jazz it up over
They're
here.
having conversations.
Yeah, talking to
and
each other
farting.
like fuck.
It was just like an old west gunfight.
It's kind of like a yak back.
It was more like Terrence and Phillip style. Just like,
This game of draw.
let me think you want.
Hey, buddy.
That's funny, Well, I'm just getting fucking destroyed for no reason.
You're wearing purple. It's fitting.
That's
It looks like
an
the fucking LSU
it's like an
corner.
LSU
This is like the LSU corner on the table.
LSU meat sandwich over there.
Patrick was just in the wrong place
Oh, look at Saquon.
at the wrong
About to score a
time.
touchdown.
You don't feel so bad, Chief.
So they hit 21.6 miles an hour on that
Them
run.
assholes have Barkley.
They do.
Assholes.
But y'all have got
So
her.
back on the topic, I
What was the topic?
we were talking
Storm.
about the hurricane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Back on the topic. I mean, we're susceptible to flooding. Everybody knows that. We're under sea level and all that shit. What is the most important thing that you can control? It's the fucking pumps. Make sure they fucking work.
What?
You know.
Isn't there a
And if they don't work, let the public know. Hey, we have failures here. But don't lie about it.
Sure. That's
Don't cover your ass about it.
Was it known that they weren't going to work prior, or that they just
We don't know that
they
part.
failed?
They're saying no. They just, failed.
Because I don't know. I haven't read or seen too much about it. I heard that
Right.
they were, something happened during the storm.
They're gonna find out. Somebody's
Supposedly,
gonna
what
find
when the
out.
power outage, only like 4 of the 6 came back up or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know all the truths behind all.
3
that.
out of the 4 that the New Orleans International Airport control, which nobody even knew that. It's like, okay, they
Do you
failed.
think the airport controls it just because it's more of a safer location that's maybe like...
I think they just happen to be in their property, and they're like,
Okay.
okay, well, I don't want to deal with
Right,
it.
right.
You deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. That kind of shit.
And that's the
So,
Jefferson Parish, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Jefferson.
Like, I know Orleans, one of the pumps is like so old and like broken that like they can't repair it.
They don't have the.
The
They
parts-
don't make parts.
they don't make
to
parts for it
repair
anymore.
it. There's
And
plans in place to
replace it.
Yeah, but it's just slow
Stupid
moving.
expensive.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
very expensive. It's in the works though.
I feel like for as much as we have to worry about the flooding and like the money we get, that we should be able to find a way to like this should be a top priority, as opposed to $20 million lights on a bridge.
I was saying this
Absolutely.
the other day.
Absolutely.
Like, how is this not a top priority?
Absolutely.
Like, and
My-
you
my
hit the nail on
company-
the head. We just spent $20 million on lights on the.
My company is actually working
bridge.
on a frequency changer for the sewage and water board, meaning because they'd rather convert 25 hertz to 60 hertz to run 100-year-old pumps than replace and get 60 hertz pumps. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's like, hey, it's like $1 million job for us. But go figure.
That's insane.
Everything's always band-aid with sewage and water board, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna fix it correctly. We're gonna fix it enough just to keep it going.
Everything's always bandaged with the city.
I didn't even know that.
Look at the roads.
25 Hurt thing
I
was
agree.
even a thing.
If you
in
wanted to take the
States.
time,
100 years ago it was.
I guess it was. Yeah,
if you
I
wanted
had
to
no
take the time to
idea.
like really repair some roads, you could.
Which they're doing, but it's for the wrong reasons. It's like,
Exactly.
we got the Super Bowl coming up,
We
so
have to make it
let's
look nice.
force everybody in the mountain into this area.
So what was it? Ida was what, 2 years ago?
23 years, 21.
3.
Yeah,
So
three.
So when Ida happened, a lot of the lights on the interstate went out,
They're
and
still out.
and some of them are still out.
still
Now
out.
they've started repairing some of them, but again, why did they start repairing them after 2.5 years? Because there's going to be a lot of national attention and tourism in our city come February or whatever.
Look, I love this city. I love this culture. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about it. People are more upset about, Wheezy, Lil Wayne not performing at the Super Bowl
I like how you had to clarify that.
than,
Is there another reason?
the pumps not fucking working. I mean, we
But
should be outraged about it, right?
Right, and I think it's a thing that the city has been complaining about for probably before we were born, with the infrastructure and the allocation of money for things to help protect us and keep our city afloat and alive. We need proper drainage and sewage and pumping so that we don't flood, because we're in such an extreme situation in case being below sea level. That should, I would think, be our always
Top-
number one priority,
top priority.
along with crime. Like,
Right.
how do you dice it up? Crime, the
Crime
city,
is doing better in New Orleans, by the way. But
Well, that's because of
That's
Kubiak.
due to Clint
Kubiak.
Kubiak.
That's because of Kubiak. But now that we lost,
not
Yeah.
today.
I think we're more liable to have a murder now
We're
because we lost today.
check the numbers tomorrow.
We're going to
or
see like
next
6
week.
murders on the news today.
Hopefully, they're all Eagles fans.
Wait,
What?
whoa,
Whoa!
Yeah,
We're
That's staying in. Yeah, I mean, I think since we were all old enough to understand the workings of government and how our city has been run or
Yeah.
poorly run for the last 20 plus years, the pumps have always been a concern, along with, like, say, towers, like be it light towers or energy infrastructure, things like that. And it's just same old, same old.
Same old shit.
This bit has been an interesting curveball, that it's always been about sewage and water board of New Orleans, and it's like
Yeah.
now JP's involved. It's
Right.
like, God damn it, why do we have, every time they would be a story about the pumps in New Orleans, I'm like, I'm glad I live in Metairie. And
Yep.
then after this storm, I'm like, God damn it, we can't.
And, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to live in a part of Orleans Parish where we get some flooding, but it's not as bad as, say, downtown,
No,
uptown,
true.
some places like that.
How did your area do?
We lost power for about 14 hours,
Mm-hmm.
but flooding really isn't a too bad of a thing where I live. My from my street to the bottom of my step is probably like a 4-foot grade up, so and it drains fairly well. So water isn't really a concern. I think for Ida, I had to walk through at the street level, maybe knee deep water, so about 1.5 feet maybe. But that was an extreme weather situation. Like, that was it was really bad, and that was probably the last time I remember. And I've been there for 8+ years now that
wow.
I've had water like really, really.
Is that
challenged.
considered West End, the area? You
Yeah.
didn't even know it's on the other side? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. We've lost power the last probably 2 or 3 storms, but we usually get it back in a decent time frame because we're on the same or around the grid with the DMV and a really big church and like a little sewage and water board mini, not a pump, mini station. So they want to get that part of online more faster than pilots. It's more vital, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm thankful that we don't really have flooding issues. But like where my mom lives, off of Franklin Avenue, she surprisingly did well. No flooding really in her area, although the underpass by Franklin Avenue always floods. But the pumps have always been a concern since we were kids and probably when our parents were our age, you know.
And it's 2024, and that should not be the case.
Right. And honestly, what are the odds it's going to improve in the next 5-10 years?
Not.
Maybe Travis, we could get Joey Lahat to come on the next podcast and explain himself
Did anybody
I
not lose
actually
power?
saw Joey yesterday. He was in. He said that they, they had a council meeting on Friday, and he said that there was a lot of pissed off people. And he said it was a lot to do with. He said that a couple of the pumps failed, and it was supposed to be unexpected. But no, I definitely would like to get him on. Get him on a pod sometime.
Hey, look, it's not to bash him. It's not his fault. But just to get, a take on what's really happening, what's going on.
I mean, I know we try not to get political, but as far as the presidential election coming up, he would be a good candidate to get on here too, just being in politics. But I know we try to avoid that. But I'll kind of give my rendition of the hurricane. Like, I mean, there was never a point when, and I think Russell kind of said this, there was never a point when I was, worried or should have been worried, because the rain wasn't like that heavy. There wasn't that as far as the wind. There was a short period of really heavy wind. So the whole time we didn't lose power. We're just kind of sitting there watching movies at the house and all this kind of stuff, just a regular night, just with bad weather. But then you keep looking out the window and you just keep seeing this water climb.
Yeah.
Well, then you go to the front of the house and you look out that and you see the street is fully flooded to where water is getting in cars. And then you realize the only way that was possible was the canals overflowing, which had to do with something with the pumps. So that's where it got kind of scary, because you guys have been to my house multiple times. There's 2 steps that lead up to the front of the house. There's 2 steps that lead up to the back of the house. The water was already over the first step. Wow. So it's and it seemed like the rain had just stopped just in time, because had it not, we would have definitely had water in our house.
What about your house, Todd?
Yeah,
Same area?
kind of like what Travis said. I was kind of sitting in my room, both reading and watching the Orioles lose, and I was kind of just waiting, anticipating the power to go out.
So that was like a double whammy, huh?
And it didn't. Yeah. You don't like reading?
They left the power stayed on so they could watch the Orioles lose.
Yeah, it's almost like
You must watch
it's almost
this.
like God wanted to punish me. Like,
Right.
sure, you can have the power stay on, but the Orioles will lose in this one for sure.
Can't have that
Which,
stuff.
which would you rather have? Power or the Orioles win? Take your pick.
You're getting pounded by a hurricane and watch your favorite team lose.
He's like, I'd rather have no power and not know, not know the outcome.
But I stepped outside and I couldn't believe it, because my area does not flood often. Like, we've been in our house for 13 years, and I don't think we've even come remotely close to flooding. And I walked outside, and it's about halfway up my walkway, and it seemed like when the rain stopped and the wind just kept coming in, the water just kept getting pushed up higher and higher. Luckily, we didn't get any water inside of our house, but I know there were some houses in our area that did. I think on Green Acres, some of the areas over there flooded.
I'm gonna ask a serious question, but we don't have to get into serious answers for this. Just general curiosity. How are y'all in terms of hurricane prep, and do you have things in place, like a generator per se, in case of a power situation or anything like that? Or how are y'all deep freezers and you ever guys any kind of prep for hurricanes?
So see, I don't have any of that stuff, but my neighbor who lives next door to me is kind of like the neighborhood dad. And he's always saying, hey, look, we're going to have our generator running, so if your refrigerator goes out, just let me know and I'll throw a cord over and we'll hook it up. But no, I've never really done that. I have some boards in the shed that match every one of my windows, so just in case I want to put and there's actually little latches that are screwed into the bricks in my house that hold the boards in place. And they're all labeled. All the boards are labeled from the previous owners. So I put those up, I think for Ida, but I didn't do it for this go round.
Should be advertised and selling houses around here. If I have matching boards for every window.
I've been told that going into a house before by the realtor.
There you go. Or hurricane shutters.
It's a plus.
Pat, I had to work for the hurricane. I was activated with the emergency EMS team. I have to work every major event like that, and let me tell you, it's one of the hardest things that I have to do for my work, because I basically have to leave my family behind, to fend for themselves. I mean, I set them up with everything I can, but I'm away from my family, and it's through the years it's just getting harder and harder to do, especially with the kids getting older. But we do have a home generator at the house, and we do prep stuff. I have to bring I have a hurricane bin with extra clothes and food and all that I bring to work. But laying on a couch at work, just thinking about my family at home and what they're going through, my wife and the 2 kids and my mom, it's very hard. It's very hard. And luckily, we were able to communicate with texting was available at the time for us. But I've been through hurricanes where I couldn't communicate for days, weeks. I mean, during Katrina, I worked as well, and I didn't see my family for a month. So it's just but that's just my situation.
And it is wild how this second storm, and Zeta, where I go to my parents' house who have a home generator. That's my prep, is to go there, because when we lose power, they have a generator. And my house, I watched the whole storm on my cameras, and my house here didn't lose power both times on those. It did for Ida for 2 weeks, so like everybody, but I mean, that's the most I've done. Like after Ida, I just came back here the day after, got certain essentials out of my fridge and brought it and stuffed it in my parents' fridge and wherever I could. That's about it, though.
Where my mom lives, their area is kind of low, so it's more susceptible to flooding than some other parts. So I always worry about that part for her, but we share a deep freezer that stays at her house for if I lose power, because I pretty much know where I live. I'm going to lose power if it's really, really like windy. It's not so much the rain, it's the wind. For Ida, honestly, had we not had a roof leak that caused some flooding through the top floor down to the bottom floor, I could have stayed and run off like a little power inverter that I have. But like I'm probably, compared to most of my friends, more on the prepper side than that. I'm just like, if you look at my backpack that I carry every day, I have like a flashlight, a knife, a lighter, just random things that I may not ever need for like everyday life, but someone may need, like power cord.
Is it a bug
Now,
out there?
now I know.
I have something similar to that as well that stays in my car.
Or-
But like whenever I go anywhere, like even
A
to
go
work,
bag.
I have a backpack that just flashlight, a knife, a lighter, things I might need, like pins, paper, whatever, stuff like that.
Clear.
A battery charger. So I try to be as prepared as I can for losing power, but not like overdoing it. I don't have like a ration of MREs stacked
Right,
up.
right,
I have like
right.
perishable, non-perishable foods just in case, but those also be just like snacks as well too. That I can eat on a daily basis.
So now I know why your backpack weighed 8 million pounds in St. Louis.
Yeah. It's,
When I had to have it on my lap until we got the other car or whatever, it was like, this thing is. How do you carry this
If you ever
thing?
need anything for anything, it's probably in my backpack.
You have like severed
or my
limbs
purse.
in there? Like, what the hell?
Do what?
You have like severed body parts in
No,
there?
but I have a knife that can make some severed limbs.
That's what I like traveling with that, because I don't have to bring anything. I rely on him.
And I'm walking around sweating my ass off because I got 15 pounds in a backpack.
I just remember that
It's
on
got
my lap.
everything
I'm
you
like,
need.
what is in this thing?
Protein bars, protein snacks, knife, pen, paper, paracord.
Living in this area,
I
it's
carry-
very understandable
I
why
carry
you do
this.
that.
Yeah. I carry a tourniquet.
Good.
I carry, well, that's more of like, if you're willing to have a firearm and use your firearm, you should also be willing to save a life in
Absolutely.
a situation like that. So I am trained in how to use it. I made certain of that. I have enough first aid and training just from a certified course so that I can do that. But yeah, but I'm not like the full on, like I got a bunker
Yeah.
with like,
No.
stuff like
You
that.
don't have a storm shelter that you go underground and
So we kinda
hide.
I wouldn't. If I did, I wouldn't legally. I wouldn't talk about that legally because there might be other things I don't want the government to know that are in there.
He's basically
Diddy
saying he does
parties.
have one.
No, asshole. Firearms and ammunition. No, not that kind
Sex
of stuff.
dungeon.
He just
Gotcha.
told us he has one. He's just not going to really
Give me some of
admit
that.
it.
No, I just have a few things that might go bang, 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 pow, 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 and not so much in like a sexual manner.
What happens in Patrick's storm cellar stays in Patrick's storm cellar.
I'm just saying, our house is not the house to like loot during a storm. If we're home,
Right.
not the place you want to go venture into. You're not coming out real life.
And I was going to say, I'm just remembering that my parents have a fridge, the main fridge, and then a fridge in the garage. And I'm just remembering that fridge in the garage was their original one that they were going to throw out from Katrina, but managed to clean it and get it working again. So it's like, that's a total New Orleans house. We have 2 fridges because of a hurricane.
Oh yeah.
We got two.
I don't buy like enough like
doesn't have
meat
two
or like
freezers.
that frozen.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure that's not common everywhere, but
No, not at all.
well, they have a big ass freezer and fridge outside that has a freezer on top. So technically 3 freezers in the house and then 2 refrigerators. It's crazy.
But if you don't have a generator, you're shit out of luck.
So I finally bought the bullet and got not a big like gas generator. It's like a
inverter
portable
generator.
inverter generator. Yeah, which would be enough to power a fridge or maybe mini fridge, charge everything I need, and maybe like keep that that deep freezer going.
To the whole power thing, and maybe you can, I don't know.
I probably can't. Go ahead.
Maybe you can speak on this with your knowledge of your work.
Patrick.
I know it's different, but yep.
Show these to the camera. These are
Some of those are so.
These are left over from Ida. They almost were like right there in that doorway.
For those of y'all, Sean is showing us his box of MREs. So anyway, I was so excited when I bought my house because I had underground utilities. And I was like, man, this is great. I'll never lose power. Dude, I have never lost power so much in my life. Like it's a sunny Tuesday and I'll freaking lose electricity.
I was gonna say that, like, not lose power for those 2 storms yet on a sunny day watching football. Like, phew.
It's so
So
nice.
I will say there's a lot of things that people don't understand about having your electric underground, because that is constantly referenced. Like, why aren't the utilities underground? Why do we have these poles? They fall down. It's an issue with the hurricanes. I'll say one
Which
thing.
is that part of fortification of the grid or not really, because it has so many issues.
It's, to the best of my knowledge, and I don't know. I don't think there's any plans to put any above ground lines underground at this point.
Okay.
But there's a whole slew of issues that come along with that.
Yeah.
Just think of it from a construction and digging, like just gardening standpoint.
Right.
It's not rolling blackouts.
There's a severe or a very big safety risk with having live electric lines underground.
Yeah, you dig and hit them a lot.
we have an energy fella here.
Which, this is a great plug, 811. If nobody knows what that is, call before you dig.
Call before you dig. Yeah, I lose power just on a sunny Tuesday.
And that's in your new house?
Yeah, and it's all underground utilities, and it was one of the most exciting things about the neighborhood because I was like, man, I'll never lose power.
There's just pros and cons to both, right?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, like at Sarah's house, she shares the same line with your mom's house on Judith, and for multiple storms, she's not had power at her house, but the neighbors across the street did because they're on a completely different line.
My parents lose power. My mom loses power all the time.
Yeah.
Hard wind blows, they're out of power.
That's how weird that storm was for her because she didn't have power, and then I'm sending her updates on like what the storm's doing, where it's at, because she's just sitting in the dark at her house. That could still use phone, that I could still see. I'm watching the news and telling her what's going on. That's got to be.
It gonna rain.
That's got to be scary, not knowing what's going on, and everybody thinking, the storm is not supposed to go east like that, and then like, why is it getting so heavy outside? And it's like I thought it was supposed to be kind of blowing by, and it's like,
You'll actually see the track of the storm. Usually, it's like pretty fluid. It was so zigzaggy. Like I've never seen.
That's
that
what Ida
before.
did too. But Bruce Katz is like the new Margaret Orr. He was patting himself on the back so hard because during it, he's like, all the things I'm looking at, there's going to shift more to the east, and like the black line, he's like, all the models are coming into the east. I think it's going to take a little jog, and it's like he wanted it to hit head on the city so he could show how right he was. And of course, it did move to the east. And it was like the next day, and he was like, "Oh!" It was like, dude, just walk on the news and start, patting yourself on the back.
Bruce Katz will never be Margaret.
I agree.
Or Bob Breck.
Or Bob Breck.
Bob Breck is a
I'm
legend.
surprised he hasn't come up with conversation yet.
Or Bob Breck.
Reckon it.
You
Bob
never
Breck's still
speak.
alive, or-
Yeah.
Shit, how old is he now?
Or Carl Arredondo.
Cole Arredondo, that's a name.
Is he not around? I guess I haven't heard
He's
of him.
retired.
I mean, he hasn't been on the news in a long time.
Actually, he's
Is he still with us?
He's probably pretty young,
Oh, maybe.
relatively speaking.
I only brought up Margaret Orr because guilty pleasure. I had like a huge thing for her, like 8-10 years ago.
That's just like, you never speak ill of Margaret or ever again.
Goddamn right. Leave and Margaret Orr. Don't fucking talk about him. All right.
What's that girl's name? Hannah?
Montana.
No, Hannah.
Storm?
Hannah Gard, the younger one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's a very good meteorologist.
As my dad would say, she takes her
Shelby
vitamins.
Latino, She's a former meteorologist.
This is going real quick.
So I'm glad to hear that most of us have made out okay from the hurricane. And Mike, and we're sorry to hear about.
Didn't even. London.
We're sorry to hear about your mom. You know, as far as some of the flood water that she may have had, but it sounds like most of us have got through the hurricane okay. But
It's intermission. The yellow jackets have left the building.
Yeah. You know while they're going, fuck those two dudes. They're in the smelly assholes. Both of them just, you do that again, I'll put some of your asshole. I got at least a finger for it.
Promise?
I'll diddy the fuck out of you.
You're gonna diddy.
I'll diddy you hard.
Did you hard? Wow.
Hey, Travis, what were you saying?
I would hope it wouldn't be flat.
Hey,
well,
yo.
I was actually going to turn it over to
It's been a while.
Todd. I believe he wrote something on here that he wants to talk about. But
What did he write down? I'll filibuster for him.
Church story is what he has.
Oh yeah, you don't know about church.
Well,
A lot of diddling goes on at
Sean,
church.
I mean, that's a great segue. Diddly church.
well, Sean, you did say that you had a little bit of a gear grinder, right?
Yeah, it's a minor one. It's just people that don't use blinkers and want you to be mind readers. Like, probably not like when people, the moment when people don't use them that drives me nuts is when you're at a four-way stop and you're looking the person in the eye and all of a sudden they make a left turn or a right turn and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I was supposed to know you were about to do that without your blinker on. And they look at you like you're an idiot because you start going. And it's like, and like, and you have to do that because the person all of a sudden turns. Like, what the fuck?
Mine would be, speaking of like traffic and drivers, like I see this all day, every day at the Vets in Causeway intersection. If you're coming from Causeway, going to Vets, like let's say you want to go towards Lakeside Mall, you cannot turn left onto Vets under the overpass onto Vets. You have to go make the U-turn on the side of the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And every fucking body wants to skip it and to make the illegal left turn.
Oh, yeah.
And like, it's not much further to just go up and make the U-turn, and there's no light, so it's not like you're gonna be caught there for like minutes upon end. And I try to do the right. Like, listen, I speed a lot, so I'm not want to give people shit about not following traffic laws.
Speed
and rules.
kills.
I'm aware. You know what also kills? Motherfuckers that want to turn left when they're not supposed to turn left, and you're just driving, doing your own business, and they'll all of a sudden just hook a left, or they want to turn left and they're stopped because there's other assholes who are turning left, and you want to fucking rear end them because they just come to an abrupt stop instead of just going straight to make the U-turn that you're trying to be a good Samaritan, a good human being, and do.
Pat, you know what else kills? These motherfuckers farts.
I'm glad you got to finally experience it like I did.
Yellow Jackets, baby.
What is it?
Yellow Jackets unite.
No, please don't unite.
With our powers.
I want to weld my nostrils together. I'm going to smell you two assholes.
Cover them with some glue.
Anyway, while you were up, Todd, Travis said that you have sort of a gear grinder relating to something church.
This isn't really a gear grind, and more so it is. I find it kind of comical.
Church jobs?
Jobs.
Chubbs Peterson.
Let me finish the story, and then you can decide if it's Chubb.
You finish at church?
Yeah, finish that church.
Hallelujah.
Don't kink shame him, right?
I have not.
So I go to mass every week with my family. I'm not going to say I'm a diehard Catholic by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, look, I think it kind of brings us together as a family, and that's the only reason why I tend to go. Because I don't really, it's hard for me to pay attention to any of the homilies or any of the readings. I kind of nod off and think about other things while I'm in there. But one thing I've noticed this week in particular, like, we've been going to the Saturday afternoon mass a lot, and obviously, you know, church is full of blue hairs. I mean, it's probably about
No.
probably about 90% blue hairs on a given day, but Saturday I've noticed that it's probably about 96% blue hairs. For whatever reason, they love them Saturday evening matches.
My parents are included in that, just saying.
So my mom too.
They love 4 o'clock mass.
One thing I normally when the homily's going on, I'm daydreaming usually about something else, but I kind of looked around.
Was it? You think that picture you showed me earlier?
I mean, I'd rather be that than the priest or something.
Because I find myself daydreaming too.
Hey, yo.
One thing I've noticed is when the priest this week, in particular, when the priest was giving his homily, I'm looking around and there's several of the older crowd with their eyes closed, and I don't know. I'm assuming they're trying to maybe sell it like they're in deep thought about what the priest is telling them. So I'm wondering if they really are in deep thought, or do you think they're just catching Z's?
I'd be more than willing to bet that they're
How old are they? First of all,
I mean, they're easily 60 and up.
they're probably snoring.
I mean, that was me growing up. When my mom would be slapping my leg to wake me up, and then my dad's on my left side, and he's doing the same thing, nodding his.
Are these
his
usually
head's
men
drooping.
that are doing this?
No, it's both. It was both.
Men and women.
Men and women, probably an equal mix.
Really?
And their eyes are closed, and they're trying to make
Was
it
there
look like they're in.
was
like,
their
deep
significant
concentration.
other like awake and listening?
Yeah.
Well, there you
for the most
go.
part.
They don't want to be there. They're there because they got dragged there by their
So they were
spouse.
drunk there by their spouse, right?
What church do you attend? Would you-
The Church of the
You can
Fines.
tell me.
I don't want to give any names out there, but Sean plays on their softball.
There you go.
I've been to a few Saturday masses at that church, so I know what you're talking about.
Do they do couchon delays?
They do. They have a very
They will on
popular
October
Sean
18th.
delay.
On October 18th, 19th, and 20th, they will be. The day after the Sean Payton Bowl.
So again, it's not something that's necessarily a gear grind, and more so it is. I chuckled a bit when I looked around, and it made me think this might be a good pod topic conversation, because I'm wondering if these people are actually intently listening with their eyes closed, or if they're really just
The
bored
thing
out of
that
their minds, falling asleep.
The thing that I find, it's like I hate, gonna sound totally racist, but like when I can't understand the priest, whether it's like, Asian, Haitian, whatever nationality they are, and I'm struggling to understand them, I check out like 2 sentences in, and I have no clue what you just said. You could talk for 30 minutes in a homily, and I have no clue, because I'm just like, I can't understand this dude, I'm not even gonna try.
I thought about you the other day. It
was about Asians and
Yeah,
Haitians.
Samsung.
It was mostly about somebody else, but then I thought about you and the heron and your dad. I was driving. Yeah, I got a new tattoo, heron. So I was driving somewhere by my
Second
house,
round on Wednesday.
and I look over,
It's a new tattoo.
and I see this heron on the canal bank. And this motherfucking heron was like, no lie, like 6 foot tall. And I got a friend that passed away, and he told me a story about when he was fishing, how he saw a big old heron that was 6 foot tall with a wingspan of 10 feet. And I gave that man the hardest fucking time, saying, "Who the fuck did you see, Big Bird out there?"
Did he measure this out? He had a tape measure on him?
Oh yeah, dude.
10-foot wingspan, I swear to
He would
God.
go on and on and on about this fucking heron that was 6 foot tall, and I was like, dude, you are on fucking crack, bro. And so I finally saw Big Bird.
This is like the Penguin and
This
Billy
thing-
Madison.
I mean,
This
look,
thing was huge.
But I mean, like, you bring that up, but like, I don't know how.
Did you go on a
Yo.
Diddy party? Is that what you're talking about here?
That was on the way to the Diddy party.
That was the Diddy party. I saw Big Bird.
I don't know what y'all's beliefs are as far as like when it comes to spirituality and like afterlife and things like that. But I mean, my dad told me this heron story, and I feel like there's been several times when I've been thinking about him where one just kind of appears. And recently, I went for Labor Day weekend to Gulf Shores, and the place we're staying at, it was a 3-story beach house. Jessica and I used to go there with our family probably every other summer, and it's right next to where we stayed when we were kids. We would go to this place called Gulf Shores Plantation, and this house is literally pretty much, I don't know if it's on the property, but it's right next door to it. And I was, the first morning I was out there, because we got in there in the evening, and I go on the balcony in the morning, I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm like, man, I'm never gonna, my dad's never gonna come here again.
Yeah.
I used to remember he always used to go in deep waters. He would always have his vacation shirts. He would never take his shirt off when he was in the water. He was always afraid of getting sunburned. So he'd have these blue vacation shirts, and I'm like, man, he's never going to be here in his vacation shirts again. He's never going to be out in the deep water again. So And then all of a sudden, I see
him.
Aaron.
Yeah.
And then son of a bitch goes on the boardwalk, like right where we are, and I took a picture of it.
How big is he?
It was pretty big.
10-foot wingspan.
So I mean, like I said, I don't know how y'all feel about that, but like this has happened to me so many times to where I don't really see it as a coincidence. And,
it's I don't really do the whole spiritual thing, but I that's a good thing, If when you see that reminds you of your dad, ultimately that's a positive thing. That's a good thing, and
I fall in the same boat. Like nothing wrong can come of it.
No, nothing wrong.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
I feel the same way when I see a can of Coors Light or Jack Daniels.
Hey, Pops.
I should take a shot for it.
Hey, Pops.
My mom told me an interesting thing like that. It made me like kind of freaked out, but kind of like makes you wonder. It was like this was in '99 when my grandma passed away. That I was downloading songs off of Napster, and the phone line was bogged down, and I finally got off at say hours later, 4 hours later or something, and it was a phone call, and it was because my grandma had like her aneurysm ruptured or something, and she's in the hospital, like basically on her deathbed, and my mom like lit into me, because she got to the hospital, she's incapacitated, like couldn't say goodbye to her mother and all that kind of stuff, and like didn't like resent me forever for that, but it was like that was really tough. But she went to like a medium or something not that long ago, and this woman tells my mom that my grandma wanted to go out that way, like almost like that happened on purpose because she didn't want people to see her in the hospital sick and dying and whatever. She wanted to check out and get out of there, and it's like made my mom break down and all that kind of stuff. And it's like she was like all like crying and telling me I'm sorry and all this kind of stuff, like something that happened 20-30 years ago. And it was like Jesus Christ,
My blue heron, Todd, is when I see a big old switch. Because my dad used to switch the fuck out of me when I was a kid. Anytime I see a big old freaking tree branch, I get, I think of my dad.
In the way they felt on your ass cheeks.
Yes. So I'll tell the story. I don't care. My dad, he was a disciplinarian when I was younger. When he was older, whatever, I wasn't scared of him. But when I was a little boy, every time I fucked up or did something wrong, he'd send me outside to go get the biggest switch.
The switch, yeah.
The biggest switch, and bring it to him. And then he would, take it and take the leaves off and then beat the shit out of it with it.
You'd be whittling it in the living room. You're getting it now, son.
But if I didn't bring one big enough, then he would go back outside and get one twice as big as the one I would get and beat the fuck out of me with it. But I love him to death.
Mike,
DCFS, if you're listening.
I love him to death, and I learned a lot from that. Right? I learned a lot. I learned to be obedient. I learned to respect my elders. I learned a lot. Right? And I think in this generation, the way that people parent their kids these days, a lot of that is frowned upon. Right, and I don't do that to my kids. I really don't. I do not do that to my kids.
Allegedly.
But no, I don't. Mainly because Jamie wouldn't let me. But
listen to CPS.
But
Adrian Peterson, if you're listening.
But I think society has changed, right? And like that's frowned upon. That's bad. That's not a good parenting style. But guess what? I learned from it, and it made me a different kind of person. Right. And I thought twice before doing something.
Right. I mean, I for sure was. I was a really bright kid in grade school. I had straight A's and all that growing up, and like I wasn't a bad kid in terms of like acting up, but I would do like make jokes under the radar. But I knew I could get away with it most because I was like one of the better students in the class, and there were some real like shitheads that were getting like D's and C's,
sure,
and also being shitheads. So I got a pass for a lot of it, but my mom, being in the field of work that she did for 40 plus years, was a tough disciplinarian. Yeah. And there was no fear. Like my dad never laid a hand on me in terms of like a discipline standpoint. Right. the concern was always
Your mom.
my mom. So when I got in trouble, and my dad's like, "No, your mom's going to handle this," I was like, "Fuck,
You were
that's,
scared as
that's the
shit.
last thing I want."
Right.
And yeah, same thing. She would tell you, go pick out whatever, because that's what I'm going to use to discipline you with. And you go pick the small
Go
one.
in the drawer and pick a belt.
Yeah, go get. It was always the belt, or go get my slipper.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
I think the worst. I might have told this story to y'all like probably off air before. The worst was she was like, "Hey, go in the backyard and get me a rose." I was like, "Okay, what do you need a rose for?" There's no vase, there's no vase or whatever we were doing with this thing. And she got it. She got it. She cut the actual rose bud off, and she was like, "All right, look, well, bend over the bed, pull your pants down." And I was like, "Excuse me?"
Mom.
And she lashed me about 3 or 4 times with a rose thorn. And I was like, but then, like, of course, being a mom, what did she do? She went and got, well, it was also a little bit of form of torture. She went and got peroxide.
After there was blood dripping down your ass cheeks.
Yeah, not bad enough to, like, like
She doesn't want you to die of an infection.
Yeah. She did care in some capacity. But yeah,
I don't want you to
remember
die,
getting,
but I want to punish you pretty bad.
I remember getting like 3 or 4 lashes, and like it was like super fucking tender, and like it was
some
like
peroxide, here's
like
a
red
Band-Aid.
from like welts and bleeding a little, like spot bleeding or whatever.
And she's putting the Band-Aid on and saying, and she's telling you, do not fucking say a word about it.
Yeah.
To anybody.
There's more where this came from, and I'm like, yo, Dad, you want to do something about this? He's like, I ain't gonna touch this shit.
Do you have PTSD when you hear "Kiss from a Rose"?
But like,
Every
I
rose has
remember
its thorn.
I was probably somewhere between 9 and 11, and I was like, man, I don't ever want to have to fucking have this happen again. So you know what? I'm gonna fucking kind of shape up, and that molded a lot of. Not that I was a bad kid, but made sure that I did not do anything like that again because I knew what was coming.
Right.
It's just, yeah.
But if you did that nowadays, what would happen?
Oh, you have to call DCFS, you know?
I mean, it's a different story.
I don't hate to say,
Take
a lot of kids,
somebody
a lot of
else in
kids
school.
can benefit from a good beating every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's my blue heron.
That's my blue heron.
Title name.
My blue hair is getting my ass kicked. By my parents.
Whipped with a rose stem.
Brother, that was.
Thorns
I mean,
and all.
that sounds
There was
pretty.
nothing more emotionally unsettling than
That sounds pretty bad.
having that happen. But then she's caring so much for me, like, oh, let's clean it up, put a little Band-Aid on it, and then I get a nice dinner. I'm like, you were just a monster like 5 minutes ago. Now you're the nicest woman on the planet.
Did you poison this food, lady?
Yeah, like,
Patrick's like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel.
but you know,
It's like a doctor at a UFC fight, doing wounds. It's like you voluntarily got hit like this.
like I'm now thinking like I only get dino nugs and mac and cheese after I get my ass whipped. But I want mac and cheese and dino nugs, but I don't want the ass whooping. What do I do with this? Yeah, it was very,
Don't be bad.
yeah. Moral of the story: don't be bad.
Don't be bad.
Don't get bad to the point where you have to go pick out their own weapon of destruction.
Was your dad a professional wrestler? Because he never really hit you or your mom.
No, he was just like, go to your room.
I had to throw at that shitty.
That's fair. Anyway, my dad was like, just go to your room. You're grounded or you're punished for however long.
Patrick
And,
Mahomes in a sip shop.
Damn it, Davis. But yeah, mom was a disciplinarian. Dad was like, go to her. I was like, fuck, I don't want to do that.
My mom hit me one time. And let me tell you, she went fucking complete psycho on my ass.
Wasn't deserving.
When she was younger, yeah, she was something else. Now she's like a nice little old lady, but I was the
lady that doesn't charge us for alterations.
Yeah.
I
No,
yeah, I go see
we all know the
Speaking
nice
of
little old lady.
shit,
Yeah, we like that.
She went fucking complete psycho. She fucking hit me unmercifully. And that was the first and only time. And then after that, Dad took care of me.
I was never really hit, but I had like a cell phone thrown at me one time. It was my own cell phone, I think, when I was bitching about something, and and it got hummed at me. It says, "You want this cell phone? You fucking pay for it." It was like, oh shit.
I definitely had the belt a couple times.
if you ever met my mom, or some of you have, like she's as sweet and as soft as can be, But like back in the day,
Catch her on a bad day.
so like without getting too much into the backstory, she dealt with juvenile sex offenders all day for 35, 40 plus years for the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
So she got to see some really shitty people.
Yeah.
And I was always like, hey, don't take your frustration with them out on me. I'm a good kid.
Don't bring your work home.
Yeah, don't bring your work home. Please don't. So, but like, I never like gave her a ton of reasons to act up or to do that. But when I did, she put me back in line real quick. And I think that's part of the reason I probably joined ROTC, because I already had a very structured life.
You already
at
had
home.
solid discipline.
Yeah. It's like,
But you know, case in point, long story short, it made us who we are
for
today,
sure. And
and it made us a better person.
absolutely, I still yes sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am, strangers and stuff like that. I say thank you to people who make like fast food workers and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I was raised the right way.
Right.
And yeah, some of it came with some discipline, but I was just brought up the right way, and you don't see that much anymore with the youth.
Nope.
The youth.
Think of somebody who works in a school. You don't.
Yeah. But you know, people like us will bring it back one day.
Taking it back.
Yeah. Make beating kids great again?
I'd wear that hat.
I bet you would.
It's like, I don't think anybody would question
Corporal
that.
punishment.
Yeah,
Is
what
it-
color?
I'd wear that hat.
And on that non-political bombshell,
Wagons out.
Wagons out.
Make CPS great again.